Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's March 31st. This will be our chart lesson for today, and it's just after the market closed. It's about 3:20, so the market's been closed about 5 minutes here. Open back up again shortly. Um, Really, what we had so we had this big move down that started yesterday afternoon and into the overnight, and that left a gap on the chart. And notice we came and we filled that gap to the tick, and then it sold off. And so once we started going lower, I would have started first with today's movement, and I would have got a measured. Um, I'd have looked for a measured move similar to that. That puts you down here to the 2061 level, maybe 2061 and a half or so. But I would also assume that if we went lower than that, we're probably going to make a measured move. And so you have to get that whole move. And if you come over here and measure that, where does that put us to? That puts you to 2056.75, and you can see we couldn't close any lower than that. We maybe went a tick lower than that. So another nice, perfect measured move. And you had to assume that when this thing was moving higher, it was probably trying to fill the gap on the overnight. If you don't understand that, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time explaining it. But this is a 24-hour chart. And if you only use a regular session chart, then it would have closed here yesterday and then opened. Okay, I had a slight interruption, but anyway, market closed yesterday right here, and then when it opened on this bar right here. Um, so at 8:30, if you're just looking at the regular session, the market closed up here and opened down here. So there's a gap from 2068 to 2076 and a quarter. And notice exactly what prices did. They filled that gap to the tick and then sold off and made a perfect measured move down. I mean, it doesn't get, I mean, that's typical perfect price action in play. Exactly what we would expect to happen. So you don't know that that's what's going to happen, but as the prices are working higher here, that's what you got to figure is going on. And then once we start selling off here, it really wasn't clear. It looked like we were going to make another retest attempt here. These are actually longs. I forgot to change. Let me change those before we get any further. Trying to rush through this. I have to go somewhere with my daughter today, and I'm trying to get this done early. And so every time I try to rush through it, I make mistakes. I apologize. But those were all blues. It was mostly all long until this is where the downtrend started, really, right here. There's also trend channel working up there. See, it's very clear. You get the break, move to a new high, and then it sells off. And I really thought we'd make a new high here, but it didn't happen. So, and that's what I was looking for. Even though I suspected we were trying to fill the gap and may go lower, I really thought we'd make a new high or at least a double top or something, but we just couldn't do it. Everybody was looking to the downside, and off it goes. And you don't argue with the market. So, um, other than that, it pretty much played out perfect today. We had a little channel working down here. It was questionable if we had a break here or not, but once it reversed here, you can't argue with it. Then you get to break here, a new high, and it works down. But then this two-tiered channel takes over with prices trying to fill that gap. And there's little small trends within here. Notice this trend working up. We get a break, move to a new high, and it sells off. And the clue that we would probably, there's a couple of clues here that we'd probably get a break of this trend line right here this time and wouldn't bounce. And that was the fact that we overshot it up here. And then on top of that, we filled the gap. And then this is a pretty healthy sell-off. And there's a couple legs up here. And these are probably real close to a measured move. If they're not a measured move, let's just measure it. There's leg one. And there's leg two, and you can see that's within a tick of being a perfect two-leg correction, and then we got a perfect measured move to the downside, and then prices started correcting, and that took us right into the close. So I mean, it's perfect price action. No surprises really at all. The only surprise is maybe we didn't make a new high here, but that's not completely surprising either, since we know what was really going on. You don't always know till after the fact. You suspect, and you can read the price action, and you got an idea. And I talked about we were probably trying to fill this gap in the on the midday chart on the website today. So you know that coming along pretty quickly, um, and you just follow the price action. And you don't argue with it. So if it turns out you're wrong, or you misjudged, or you read it, if something's not acting the way it should, don't argue with it, because that's what a lot of people do. They take the rules. The rules are very clear, and you should follow them, but you don't follow them to your detriment, if that makes sense. I get people that'll write to me, and I'll probably get some today saying, I kept trying to waiting on the retest here, and it kept going lower, and I missed all this, or I got trapped and it sold off. What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong other than you just misinterpreted. You didn't understand what was going on. And yeah, we're expecting a retest here. I was expecting one, but when the prices turned and it was obvious we weren't going to get one, you got to turn and go with them. Nothing is 100%, even though our rules will keep you on the right track the majority of the time. So, and that's why I like these short terms, because the clue that this may not make it to the high was we broke it here and made a measured move and then turned down, and then it was pretty obvious what was going on once we had this trap right here. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But let's get through the trades real quick and wrap this one up, because I got to be out of here in the next 15 or 20 minutes. So I want to get through all these trades and wrap this up. So let me back out just a hair, make it a little bigger. And again, we were working down. There's a closeout side here and a new low, but it wasn't real clear if maybe this should be over here. It could be over there. That fits as well too. It doesn't really fit up here. But you can't, you're not going to be 100% sure. This one is just so close that it could be iffy. But evidently that was enough. And you can see it tried to go lower here, but I guess another people weren't convinced, or they wanted to trap some people low and drive it down before they took it up. Whatever, doesn't matter. The thing is, you had to be careful going short here. I liked going short here, but let me move this out of the way. But I will say this. When this bar didn't go below that bar and it closed there equal, that's basically a neutral bar. And I like to, somebody asked me this the other day, and I don't talk about this much, but I like to combine these bars. Like, where did this bar open? It opened here. And where did this one close? It closed here. So if you combine that, it's just the market didn't do anything. It's just, it went up and it went down. And so it's like a neutral bar, because it opened here and it closed right beside it. Now, if it would have broke lower right there, I would have liked to have a stop there. And you might have got filled on your stop anyway, but you had to be careful of this trend line right here. So, and it was really unclear if this was a little flatter or steeper, but if you drew it off the top and made it fit, it fits best right here. So I believe that to be it. And you can see it bounced again right there. So I'm pretty confident that is the way that trend channel works. But if you went short here, you would probably want to use a limit order. And you could have gotten filled at least a tick back in that, maybe 2 ticks. And otherwise, you would have had a 4-tick failure. It would have moved exactly 4 ticks and bumped off your order, and you may or may not got filled, and then it would have bounced. But look, it comes back again and gives you a chance to get out. Of course, you probably don't want to ride it out above this bar here, because that's your signal bar. So if you didn't get out here when this thing ended as a doji, I would have exited. And you still could have gotten out with a tick, because the bar closed way below this bar here. But you should have gotten in on this one with a limit order. And you had to be kind of leery of this one too, because you don't know if this is not a break or not. So there's different reasons to be leery of that trade right there, because that's where people get trapped and that's where they reverse it on you. But even if you got in that with a stop, when this ended as a doji and it was closing inside that line, That's your signal. Hey, get out right now before it goes higher. And what did it do? It went higher. And it does come back and give people another chance before it goes higher again. So, but when this failed and bounced right here, that's a failed second entry short. So I like that one for a long. Quick, easy scalp. I wasn't sure about this one. This one could have been green. It's real close. But the fact that another thing here too, I forgot to discuss. Notice how when that went up, it went right through the EMA. It didn't really get a lot of rejection right there. It kind of went through and closed above it. That's another signal. Hey, something's maybe not right, because it should look like this trying to get through the EMA, getting rejection. Look how it's getting rejection there. And look how it's getting rejection when it comes back these times. And that's what you expect, but it didn't really get much rejection there. It kind of went right on through and closed above it. And that's telling you something, we're losing momentum. The buyers are getting stronger, the sellers are getting weaker. So that's another thing too. And really, I probably should circle this one green. It's a first entry, but it's the first break of this trend line, and it closes right back at the EMA. At this point, you might be thinking, we may be going to fill the gap, although there is a break outside that, but this could have been a little bit flatter. So you may not have been 100% sure at that point, but either way, I kind of like it to the long side. This looks kind of congestive right here. There's multiple bars overlapping a doji, and so this is like a breakout pullback long, really too. But you got enough room to get out before you get to the high, and you figure you're going to make a retest of the high. So enough reason to like it. I didn't like getting long after that. But you don't want to get short yet either. And look what happens. It comes right back. It kind of goes through the EMA, pulls back, and it just shoots right on through. Well, that's bearish, but you never get a good second entry to go short. And now you got to draw your trend line off those two swings just in case it bounces here. And guess what? It bounces here and gives you a second entry long on a reversal type bar. So I like that to the long side. Plus, look at this. Little channel moving down the break, the new low. I mean, that's a perfect setup. All those signals are pointing towards, hey, we're probably going to make a measured move up now. So go ahead and measure this one. That's your first leg. And see where a measured move gets you. And where does it get you? The top of the channel. That's exactly where it goes before it corrects and then pushes up one more time. So, again, perfect price action. And then it goes higher, and you want to draw this line right off of those three highs and drag it down, and where does it bounce? Right there. So that's why I like that one. And this is also, notice this new low, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. Even though that was good for a second entry short, the fact that it reverses so quickly right at the EMA, and look at all the, it's support right there. It's like a triple bottom there. Even though they're pushing a little lower, nothing's closing below there. That's telling you something. We aren't quite up to the high of this, which you should have definitely had that line and pulled it up by now and been looking for prices to reach. So I like this for a long, mainly because it's a trap. And then also notice this swing is lower than these two. So you can count this as a new swing, pullback first entry, pullback. There's another failed second entry short right there, and it pushes higher. Now I will say right here, this is probably real close to green. I think it worked either way, but I would definitely use a limit order here just because there's not much room before the high. But let me just say, I think it worked regardless, even if you 72.50. Yeah, it worked either way. But I'll be honest with you, you probably want to use a limit order here because it's not a great signal bar. It is a trap, so it doesn't matter as much about the signal bar, but it's just so close to that high and that trend line right there, trend channel line, that you got to be real careful of it. You don't want to get in here and it touch that line and turn down and you get trapped and it never come back, because you can see it will turn down and never come back. That happens sometimes. So you got to be careful of that right there. So that is real borderline being green. But anyway, had a little interruption. But we're working back down. There is an overshoot here. If you got a failed second entry long here, I would have liked going short, but you don't get that till right here, and that's right into the trend line. It's too risky to go short there. you're probably going to get the overshoot anyway soon, if not right here, because you had the overshoot up here. So you're probably going to get the break here pretty quickly. But it just shoots right on through, and there's an opportunity to go short right there, but I just don't think it's worth risking because too many times it breaks lower and turns right back up. So you just have to watch this one, and then you get a two-legged. You can't. There's no break here. Notice that there's a new low, a move up, pull back, a move. So there's a nice, perfect two-legged move in there, and then so this is similar to a failed second entry short. But it's right off the EMA and it breaks and goes higher, and you're thinking retest at this point. So I like that for a long, uh, even though you didn't really have a break of this little trend line yet moving up. But when it bounced inside there, that really confirmed that trend line. So you got to pay attention to it now. Then you get the break, and you know you're going to get a move to a new high. And I really thought we'd move all the way up and test this previous high, but it just didn't happen. But it turns out to be a nice move. This is a failed second entry short as well at a spot you're expecting a possible failure. And so this turned out to be a nice move. There was another little move back right there, but only long enough to trap people and move higher. But I don't think you want to go long there now. And then, of course, then it sells off again. You get a first entry pullback. There's a second entry long there, but I don't think you want to take that with everything below. Look how it came right back through the EMA, and look how flat it is. Everything's stacked up. So just sit tight and see what's going to happen. At that point, you're looking even for a measured move similar to this, which is going to give you back down to here. So I like that for a long trap. Just go short right there. Quick, easy move, but then it bounces again. It actually gives you, notice this new low, pull back, first entry, pull back. There's a second entry short, but you can't go short right there. This is looking too congestive and all. But notice how that trend line's working off there, and really it fit over here perfectly. So when it turns down again right there after that little, it looked like it was going to be a short trap and then goes higher. Look how bearish that bar is. Just go short right there. You really could go short right there below the green one, but if you didn't, if you have time, get in there. But notice how it closed and opened and just kept going. You may not have got in that with a stop if you waited here. And you don't want to chase it. And if you don't get that one, and it was really tempting to say you might want to enter here too, but this is right into the 2 o'clock hour. Notice that this is a swing higher than that one. Pull back, and so you're moving down. First entry, pull back, a little failed second entry short, where you might expect people to get trapped looking for prices to bounce after this break lower right across from this low, and it just catches people off guard and takes off. So, you know, this one's, I probably could make that one green. Let's just go ahead and make it green. I'm not crazy about it, but I can see reasons that if you're wanting to be aggressive, you're probably going to enter it right there. And it turned out to be a great move. But of course, when you're sitting right here, it doesn't look that great. You have several bars stacked up. You do have the trap, so it doesn't matter as much that this is not a great signal bar. So, and your midline fits really well as well. So there's reasons to take that short. And that was it for today. I got you into the 2 o'clock hour, so I'm not going to waste any more time today. There's not much else to talk about, but it was a really good day as far as straightforward price action. The only thing that might have been a little bit different was we didn't make a new high on a fairly, usually when you get a trend channel that's this strong and this obvious, you're going to get a retest of the high, but if you understand what was going on, you understand why that didn't happen, and you don't argue with it and just go with what you got. So, but good trading day, really straightforward, nothing out of the ordinary. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.